You're listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show, where wealth is empowering, purpose is crucial, and high vibes are non-negotiable. And now, here's your host, certified business coach and practical woo strategist, Sarah J. Loureiro.
Welcome back to another episode of the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. I wanted to create a really juicy episode today for us to get really honest with ourselves and truly ask, is your ego sabotaging your growth? This episode also, as per usual, comes very near and dear to my heart because I have had very specific moments in time where I very much so remember sabotaging my own growth because of what my ego says, because what my ego tries to make me think and feel about myself and about other people. And I've seen this happening with a lot of people when they are getting really good, or they're on a roll, or they have really amazing potential. And then all of a sudden, the ego rears its ugly head and then they sabotage it. And they really truncate their own growth, their own ability to succeed because of a lot of the things that are either very vain or things that are really negative that they allow to consume them. So I'll talk about a few of the different ways that your ego can sabotage your business growth. And you can, take note and see which one of these you have fallen victim to in the past. And so one of the very first ways that I have seen the ego sabotage so many people's businesses is through this whole idea of a victim mentality. So if you feel like there are other people who are constantly to blame for everything that happens in your life, and if you are just constantly looking at other people being like, this is the reason why things didn't work out for me, or things are so hard for me, but not for other people. Or, like this coach didn't give me what I wanted and that's why I didn't get results. Or I can't do anything with my life because my parents have done all of these things to me. You are putting yourself into a victim mentality. You are not allowing yourself to grow because you continuously complain about other people and expect other people to be the ones who bring you your happiness and who bring you your results. But you can only have results and create results from within. And so it's not that life doesn't give us all hardships, but when you're constantly putting that blame towards other people and just focusing on the blame and focusing on the fact that things didn't work and focusing on that external thing as the reason why things didn't work for you, you're completely taking the power away from yourself. Okay. And I want you to let that sit for a little bit. And if you are a coach, you're probably like, yep, I know this stuff so much, Sarah. I've experienced this so much in my own life, but there are so many different layers to this. And I've even had friends where I've hired coaches sometimes and I haven't had the greatest experiences, maybe 1 week of doing coaching with them. And some of my friends are like, leave that program. It doesn't really work for you. You're not getting what it is you need. And then I'm like, yeah, no, this was just one hard week. I understand that this is one hard week, but I don't need to blame that on my coach. Don't need to blame that on my mentor. Right. And then I actually end up having really great experiences and having breakthroughs the next week, let's say, for example, because I didn't give up, because I didn't allow it to consume me and I didn't allow it to really be a predicament for me not succeeding. And I think it's so interesting when this happens because on a very low level, this is kind of people blaming their parents for their entire lives and everything that's happened in their lives. And it's really unfortunate. And I know how it feels to have, toxic parents and toxic people in your life who you feel like, damn, I was a victim of these situations. But it's what you do to get out of your victimhood and into empowerment that makes all the difference to your success. Because we are all victims of something at some point in time in our lives. And the difference between someone who's a victim and someone who's empowered is a victim is just going to stay in victimhood and just keep on blaming other people. But someone who's more empowered is going to pick themselves up, be like, yep, I was a victim of this situation, but what am I going to do about it now? How am I going to take the reins and control of my own life? And how am I going to attempt to make the best of the situation that I can possibly make without needing to blame anyone else because I want the control for myself now. And that is one of the best ways to put yourself back into a place of empowerment. But if you can't do that, and if it's you are constantly seeking the external for why it is that you cannot do something in your life, you are powerless. And that is your ego trying to sabotage your results, because at the end of the day, your ego wants to keep you safe. Your ego doesn't want you to grow because your ego is really acting based off of your survival. Our egos in our brains are a survival instinct. So if we know that survival is dependent on belonging, if we know survival is dependent on everything that has so far gotten us to a place of comfort, our ego will try to get us out of anything that makes us uncomfortable at any point in time. And the best way to sabotage your business is to listen to that ego and also allow your emotions that your ego drives, allow all of that to run the show. Because when you allow all of that to run the show, you're truly acting from a place of blame and a place of, I can't control anything in my life. I can't control anything in my business. And you're not allowing yourself to feel empowered about the decisions that you can make regardless of your past circumstances. Now, the same way that the ego sabotages by blaming other people and wanting you to stay the same place because, you can't be in places of discomfort, the ego is also going to do that with your own levels of confidence. So essentially anything that pushes you outside of your comfort zone, your ego is going to be like, nope, we need to keep you safe. It is not safe out there. Success isn't safe. Okay. And generally, I always tell my clients that there's one of two fears that is primarily driving you in your business. You either are driven by your fear of failure or you're driven by your fear of success. Or you could also be a combination of both. But to understand the way that your ego operates within your business, you need to understand, what is your worst fear? What is the absolute worst thing that can happen in your business? And how does that make you feel incredibly uncomfortable? Because that feeling of discomfort is where the ego is going to come in and be like, nope, we need to re-regulate back to safety. We need to re-regulate back to the place of comfort because discomfort isn't safe. We're going to put ourselves in unknown territory, and that unknown territory could leave us susceptible to an attack. Now, what would an attack look like? First, we need to understand which one of those two fears is really controlling the show for you. And so the first fear is the fear of failure. And the fear of failure can show up as you not wanting to go on in your business, invest in your business, because what if you don't succeed? Is it that you're not going to have any money left, so you have a money scarcity issue? Is it that you're going to have way too many people judging you and laughing at you, so you're going to have a shame issue? What is the fear of failure? What is the deepest rooted fear of I'm going to fail? Is it that you just, have proven your own lack of worthiness? What is the thing that is making you not able to go all in? What is the thing that you fear the most? And what ends up happening with your fear of failure is if your ego understands that, and if your ego is just like, well, we need to protect you from utter disaster, then you're going to start to do things like procrastination, or you're going to start to do things like, half doing the things that you know that you need to do. You're going to start not fully perfecting what it is that you're doing. You're going to start putting yourself out there, but not doing it to your fullest extent. Because doing it to your fullest extent would mean that if you go all in, and if you fail, if you go all in, you're going to feel terribly. So your ego is going to be like, okay, well, we're going to allow you to do some of it. We're going to allow you to do 50% of the way, just so that you can tell yourself that you tried. But we're not going to allow you to go all in, because if you go all in, there is a likelihood that you can fail. And if you fail, that's going to be catastrophic to your sense of self and to your ego and to your identity. And your ego obviously hates that. And so you're always going to find ways to either not do something or do it, but not do it all the way. And so if you've done this to yourself, and I've done this to myself countless times, it's because you have a fear of failure. It's because there's somewhere along the lines that you are truly so terrified of not succeeding that your ego is always going to come in the way of you going all in and actually doing the things that you need to do in order to get the success that you want to get. How do you uncover this? You need to really face yourself and do a lot of really deep work on what those deep fears are. And understand that you're going to be okay no matter what. It's not just trying to shut that voice off and just, feel the fear and do it anyways that people say. It's so much more about acknowledging what your fears are and acknowledging that you're going to be happy and healthy and you're always going to love yourself unconditionally no matter what happens to you. That is when you can be unstoppable, but the ego doesn't like that. And so when you don't do mindset work and when you are just kind of trying to do things and just shutting off the ego, it's eventually going to come back. The emotions are always going to come back to haunt you. And you really want to make sure that you're dealing with those so you're not self-sabotaging on a day-to-day basis. Now, that is the fear of failure. Let's talk about the fear of success. And a lot of people don't fully understand the fear of success. And I didn't fully understand it. I always thought that I was driven by fear of failure, especially because I was always very money scarce as a young adult. I was always terrified of losing money. And I was always terrified of failing because I was a high performer. I came from a very strict family where I was always told that I needed to be the best in my class. And so I did that a lot. But when I wasn't the best in my class, my identity would completely shatter. I would fall to pieces. And so I needed to really work on my internal identity to align myself to performing from a place of love versus a place of never feeling good enough. Now, when you go into your fear of success, when you step into that level, that can look like you, once again, not doing the things that you really need to do and making excuses for yourself and procrastinating, telling yourself that you feel way too overwhelmed, right? Oh, I'm too overwhelmed. I can't do this. I just have too much going on. Overwhelm is a form of procrastination. Telling yourself that you're overwhelmed is a form of procrastination because you can manage your business and you can run your business without being overwhelmed just by switching some of your strategies. So if you constantly tell yourself, I can't do this because I'm too overwhelmed, it's probably because you're not learning the way to run your business without overwhelm. And you're probably purposely not allowing yourself to run your business that way because there's something that you don't want to confront. Now, here is how this tricky fear of success really seeps into all of this. I want you to think now about the thing that would happen if you were to succeed. What is the worst thing that could happen if you succeeded, if you went all in, if you started helping people, if you started becoming more visible? Now, most of my clients and myself included, we start to say things like, well, what if I am not really as good as I think I am? What if I cannot coach as effectively as I think I can? What if so-and-so person doesn't like what it is that I'm doing? What if I start to get criticized? What if so-and-so asks me for money? And so then a fear of success actually becomes a fear of what other people are going to think of me. And it's no longer a fear of failure or a fear of like, well, damn, I might not be able to do this and I'm going to be a huge failure. It's going to be a, damn, if I do this and if I do this really well, people are going to hate me. And I can't have people hate me. And I can't have people be disappointed in me. And I can't have myself be not good enough in terms of what I do. So I might as well just not do it. And that's what the ego says. The ego will tell you, well, we might as well just not do it. So let's just do it half, right? Half appropriately. Let's just procrastinate it. Let's tell ourselves that we're overwhelmed. Let's just not go all in. And so the ego is going to constantly try to find excuses for it, for you to not truly be able to hit your full potential, because hitting your full potential is scary. And when we don't uncover these things for ourselves, it's always going to come back. That's how the ego is the best at self-sabotaging. Sometimes you don't even understand that it's self-sabotage until you review everything that you did to get there, to get to the place where you're like, I don't understand. I did all of the things and I still didn't succeed. Well, did you really do all of the things? Or were you not fully embodying those things as you were doing them? Was there something else that was running the show? So if you're not careful, if you're not actively aware and really working on awareness and really working on that deep internal work in your business, these things are going to happen. If you are aware, though, you can start to understand how this is moving in real time, give yourself some space to process it, and then ultimately do the deep inner work that's going to allow you to say that fear no longer controls my life. And so then the ego says, oh, well, you mean that there's nothing to be absolutely terrified of anymore? You mean that it's safe for us to get out of our comfort zone? You mean it's safe for us to regulate to a new energetic match? Okay, maybe we can try that. And so you sit in that discomfort, you sit in that place of re-regulation, of increased regulation so that you can increase yourself on the emotional scale. And then that's where you can actually move forward in a really healthy way and in a really effective and efficient way. Now, I've also seen this when people get big success. And this is also so common, and it's really nuts how this happens. This is why people who win the lottery lose all their money. It's really fascinating. But essentially, when we try to hit another level in business or hit another level of growth, and we get there by some sort of, change in luck, some amazing life circumstances, and also from the hard work that we do. But if we get there, and if we cannot hold that, and if we cannot sit in that discomfort of getting that new level, I've seen this happen so often, even with clients, is we'll say things like, well, now I'm just burnt out and overwhelmed. Well, I got here in a place that didn't feel aligned to me. But now, magically I'm starting to get sick. Or I did this, but, it didn't really feel like the right way for me to do it. Oh, well, it worked last month, but it's not working this month. And that's all usually because we're just not comfortable enough with holding the energetic space that we need to in order to understand that this could be our new normal. This is why literally people who win the lottery lose all of their money. It's because they have just inherited all of this money, but they don't know how to retain it. They don't know how to hold. They don't know how to hold a new energetic minimum. And so another part of making sure that your ego isn't sabotaging your growth is making sure that you can hold that place where you can feel safe in that new place. So let's say, for example, you experience success, you get to a new income level, you want to be able to recalibrate yourself to be able to hold that number and hold that promotion, right? Hold that raise for yourself and be like, it's safe for me to be up here too. I don't need to sabotage it. I don't need to go spend all of this money now, right? I just got a raise. I don't need to go spend all of this money and make sure that I do something with it because it makes me really uncomfortable to have this amount of money in my bank account. Or it's the same way where you see your friend who's in a great relationship and they've never had a great relationship before. And then all of a sudden they're just like, nope, there's something wrong with this guy. I know that there is. And they start trying to pick fights and create fights because they need to bring their regulation lower because they're not used to having something that's so good. People self-sabotage really good things in their lives all of the time because they have never had that good thing. And because when that new thing all of a sudden feels normal, it feels scary, it feels uncomfortable. And then once again, ego doesn't like scary. Ego doesn't like uncomfortable. So ego is constantly going to try to get you back to the safe space, which is your comfort zone. It's what you've always known. So how do we protect our success from being sabotaged? You need to hold in place. You need to understand how to hold something and understand that you deserve to feel really, really good about everything, all of the good things that have happened to you. You need to hold that discomfort and feel uncomfortable for a little while and be okay with feeling uncomfortable because you need to adjust your nervous system. Your identity needs to adjust to a new normal. Your identity needs to adjust to, hey, I'm actually doing a lot better than I used to. And the people around you are also going to feel really weird about it because all of a sudden you're going to be growing and you're not going to be complaining about the same things that you always complained about before. And so even a lot of people around you might be like, well, we miss the old you. We don't like this new version of you. You're not complaining with me all the time anymore. What's going on? And it's because you're reaching a new level in your life and in your business where you're allowing really good things to come to you. you're allowing the good to get even better and even better and even better because you know it's safe. And now you've done the inner work to understand that it's safe for you to grow, and it's safe for you to feel really good about yourself, and it's safe for you to make a lot of money, and it's safe for you to feel really good about your life. And the more that you allow yourself to sit in that discomfort and re-regulate your safety around new higher levels, the less your ego is going to be there and be able to self-sabotage that with you. One of my favorite ways to really combat the ego self-sabotage is the better it gets, the better it gets. And, it gets to be better. You get to have a really amazing life. You get to have a really amazing business. You get to succeed. It's okay to succeed. It's safe to succeed. And once you keep on repeating those things to yourself and taking deep breaths and fully allowing yourself to sit in the good, your ego's no longer going to feel like you're not safe. And so it's no longer going to try to self-sabotage. And so rather than you needing to push it out of the way, you're just allowing yourself to sit in your feelings and sit in your emotions without really taking any stern actions towards them. And then eventually they'll start to fall away because there's nothing to be afraid of. So the next time that you're feeling like you're trying to get to an up level and your ego's trying to run the show, just remember these things. And if you need help with it, make sure that you get someone who can help you and who can help you to hold that space, someone who's been through what it is that you're going through, because that is so much more effective than doing it on your own. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Truly, this is one of my favorite things to talk about because the energy of holding space for yourself is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself in your business to really up-level, and up-level from a place of just loving the crap out of yourself in the process. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Like always, if you have a friend who you know would enjoy this episode, please share it with them. If you enjoy this podcast, it would mean the world to me if you hit subscribe and if you left a review. And thank you so much for listening. I'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Uplevel Your Online Business Show. If you enjoy our show and would like the show notes and free goodies about how to grow your online coaching business, head over to sarahjlorero.com for more information. We hope you'll tune in next time.